G'day everyone, welcome to another episode. We're back from the Nürburgring and winter has well and truly set in here in Sweden. We wanted to bring a very short video to you guys just to let you know all the winter plans that are happening, announce a couple of new partners, and yeah, first one, the engine.
Yeah, so we're continuing to work with Motornord on that front. So if you missed, they tuned the engine this year, but we're running a junkyard engine. Roger did a great job. We managed to push it to 1.2 bar of boost and 450 wheel horsepower on a bone stock.
Making that survive as long as it did was pretty impressive.
Yeah, it's like probably the most reliable part of the car, thanks to Link ECU, hint. Yeah, like it ran flawless, but you know, we couldn't push it more than that.
Yeah, so I think the engine for next year is going to be around the 800 horsepower mark, maybe 700. It depends on the final weight of the car. We are limited by class rules in time attack, but no matter what, the engine will be capable of doing it. We're heading up to Motornord very, very shortly to drop off one of the spare engines that we have. That'll be the one that's obviously built. But yeah, we'll take you along for that ride. We'll show you all the parts that are going into the engine, as well as all the accessories going alongside of it as well.
Exactly, and you know, there's no point in having a fancy engine if we don't push it all the way it can, like put all the power into it. And for that, we needed more boost, which brings us to what you might have guessed is our newest partner.
Another amazing Aussie company. Turbosmart came on board in a really big way for next year, so very, very massive thank you to those guys. They've come on with their 66 turbo, as well as their wastegates. We're also going to be running something a little bit unique for next year, which is the fresh air anti-lag system. Not very common in time attack. It is kind of nicknamed like being the turbo killer, but because we can run such a mild amount of anti-lag, we're completely confident that everything's going to be perfect all of next year. We're also running their blow-off valve, and a few other accessories to come along shortly.
Yeah, like moving to such a big turbo, and Sweden has a lot of lower speed tracks.
Yeah,
we figured it would be nice to have that, you know, give it some help so we can have better response.
A bit more punch out of the corner is always going to be needed for you.
Exactly, and these has nothing to do with you.
So yeah, obviously the electronics package for next year is staying the same. We're running the G5 ECU for next year. Maybe by the time this video launches, no, I probably shouldn't say that.
No. No.
Definitely didn't announce a new ECU. Next year we're staying with the same electronics package. We're running Link ECU for next year. We're running the G5 Voodoo Pro ECU. Next year we're going to try and add a few more features to it as well, because we do have some things that we didn't get around to this year, one of them being traction control. And then also with the fresh air anti-lag, that's a whole new strategy as well that we'll do on board. The gearbox as well. We can do a little bit more around the torque management for the gearbox, so we will try and adjust a few more things there as well. But also the big one as well for the car is upgrading the PDM. So we're going to move to the Razor PDM. We haven't determined how many we're going to put in the car just yet, because we are still trying to figure out a few of the chassis sensors as well. But at the bare minimum, we'll probably be running 2. And then we're also going to be moving across the Link dash as well. So you can hook up quite a few of the sensors. I'm sure you want to mention all the nerdy chassis sensors that you're going to add.
Yeah, we picked up 4 shock position sensors, or shock pods, they're usually called. So we can use that to, well, both see how the suspension is doing, but also evaluate some of the aero performance, right? Like you can see like how much downforce we have, by how much the suspension is compressing. So that should be cool to do some correlation back to the CFD and see, you know, how close it got things.
Speaking of CFD, we've had one other awesome partner come on board. When we're down at the Nürburgring, you might have seen in the last video that we ran into Misha and Lapo from Vulcan Alpha. They really liked the car. Lapo and Tadeo nerded out for far too long, but they enjoyed it. They enjoyed the chat, and very, very thankful. They've also come on board for next year. So they're going to be helping us, well, they're already helping, not even going to be, already helping with some CFD verifications. They're also going to be doing some of the molds for us as well for the new body kit, which is probably the next part of this conversation. That's what's been happening so far.
Yeah, like we're still like deep into the design phase, and nothing has happened with the physical car yet. But you know, even though we kind of had a lot of margin, as you might have noticed in the fenders, I get that question a lot. Like, why is the fender so far from the tires? Like, we always knew that, you know, we couldn't get all that power to the ground with just the 15-inch wheels in the tire selection that we have here in Sweden. We're limited to street tires and, you know, all that stuff. So we knew we needed to move to 18-inch wheels, and there was a lot of margin in the fenders. But we weren't happy with the fitment. So if you're, time to do it again, do it properly, make it better, make it more efficient.
At the same time, like at the Nürburgring, the hood also got very, very hot. Started to smolder a little bit on the carbon. So we realized we have to make a new hood, we have to make new fenders. We kind of need to redo the rear fastback a little bit as well to try and make the new flat floor work and also the new wing setup work. So it's kind of a case of let's just redo everything while we're at it. We're going to make a whole new clamshell front end for the car, and then hopefully, we haven't quite figured out how the rear end's going to look just yet, but yeah, the design's well and truly underway. Hopefully we'll get started on some of the molds this side of Christmas. Unlikely, but
talk about being optimistic.
I'm mildly optimistic with things. Optimist.
But it's exciting to see it taking shape.
Yeah, it is. It's amazing how much the car's changing for next year already. Even only running 2 events, we can see how much does need improvement. One of the big areas that we had issues with at the Nürburgring was the brake system. So straight away, once we got back from there, you were shared onto Facebook Marketplace, Race Cars Direct, everything, emailing every single brake supplier there was to find out what was going to be the best option for us. So he's footed the bill.
Yeah, we should start sharing that part too. No, I picked up some very big boys. We're gonna show you some shots. Like it's what you read the specs online. I was like, that sounds about as big of a brake as I need, and then you see it in real life. It's like it's the size of my face, which is not a small face. So,
they're huge. And running 6-pop Alcons, I think, is exactly what the car needs to help it stop. 800 horsepower and 2 tons of downforce. It's going to be a big change, I think, to learn the car again. Almost, it's a whole new brake system. So once we also swap those out, we're still in the process of getting the Bosch ABS unit, but that shouldn't be too far away as well. So hopefully next year, no more brake issues.
No, if that doesn't stop the car, nothing will.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So to accompany the new big boy brakes, we're going to have to move from 15-inch wheels to a set of 18s. We've picked up the Koenig Hypergrams in an 18 by 10.5. You can see a 280 slick on board at the moment, as that's the maximum tyre that we can run at World Time Attack. For the majority of next season, though, we'll still be running a 295 treaded tyre to fit in with class rules.
This year, Nuke helped out a lot as well. Just before we went to the Nürburgring, they saved our bacon and helped us with a few things. When we got back, we discussed a few more options, what we want to run for next year, change a few of the setup, and they've straight away committed to helping us out again for next year. So another massive thank you to those guys. We're going to head over and see them at some point soon, pick up all the new stuff for the car. So the couple of the new products that we're going to switch from the car from this season to next season is the low pressure air jacks. And what else are you getting?
So we're going from the low pressure to the high pressure air jacks.
Yeah.
Main benefit is losing just over 1 kilo per air jack, which is nice. But our main motivation was really space. It's in case you haven't noticed, it's a small car. And space was really tight, especially around the front where it has to go close to the pedals. So we're moving to the smaller format, which is the high pressure air jacks. And we already run full Nuke fuel system, but right now it's OEM tank and a Nuke surge tank, which has been flawless, but we figured we could shave some weight by moving to the fuel cell, so we can cut all the OEM structure around the fuel tank and move to a Nuke fuel cell. So that's the plan for next year.
And the lucky last thing that we will be upgrading, because there's already not enough, is a steering wheel. So I've actually been designing a couple of different button box steering wheels add-ons. So the main one, this is actually a sim racing one, but it's essentially the exact same design. It's just a different controller that we swap out using the Asher Racing paddles on this one. But yeah, this is going to be integrated into your current steering wheel, which is the Mazda one. This is actually the version 1. The version 2 is already in the car, but we're actually going to be doing version 3 very shortly. We have a couple of different designs as well, so we'll share that on probably Instagram. Make sure you go and follow the Forza Instagram if you haven't already. But yeah, that's it for the winter plans.
Yeah, I hope you guys will follow us along this winter. Have a lot of work to do, and hopefully we can share as much as that as possible with you guys. And that's it. Yeah,
we'll catch you on the next one, which is going to be heading up to Motor Nord and the breakdown of the old engine, and then show you all the parts of the new big boy engine. That's going to be a whole episode on its own, because there's a lot of fancy boy stuff going into that one.
Yeah, not taking any chances.
No, definitely not. Keen for another 8-hour drive in Sweden's winter conditions. Can't wait. See you on the next one.
Bye.